Peace. And Black Power family, Harlem educator, author, and activist, the Black Liberation Coach, Brother Agyei Tyehimba. I'm filming live in location in that wonderful village of Harlem. And to my right on the screen, you'll see our amazing brother, man. He's doing some wonderful work, family. Wonderful work. Our good brother Marcus Kline. He's an African-centered educational administrator. He's African-centered educational teacher, institution builder. Brother Marcus Kline, how you doing, good brother?
I'm great, brother. How are you? I appreciate you
Hey,
having me
man.
on too.
Hey, brother, I'm honored to have a platform for you to be on. I mean, it's all about the work with me, brother. You know, a
Same
lot of
here.
people in our community, man, they get caught up in personality. And, you know, no brother or sister is going to come correct 100% of the time. We have bad days. We go through pain, you know, we have bad
Right.
days. But I
Same
try to
struggle.
look at people's work and judge them on that. And that's
Yeah,
it. So
that's right.
I
That's right.
love what you're doing, brother, your spirit. I know that takes a lot of work. And so I have a few questions. Number one, how would you define African centered education?
Well, African Centered Education to me, um, it's it's teaching and learning from an African center. So not just having a school that embodies culture, but to me, it must have a strong case for academic scholarship. So when we decided to build an African Center School, my wife and I in 2008, we knew it had to be more than just culture. It had to be um, dominated by academic scholarship. So science is taught from African Center. Mathematics, of course, is taught from African Center. Science, history, geography, everything must be taught from African Center, where the student gets the perspective of an African as opposed to getting perspective from a European, which is what the state teaches, and the state espouses unconditional love for European ideology. But African Center program must embody culture, and the sciences must be taught from African Center. So that's my definition of African Center School.
Understanding what African centered education is, how in the world did you personally get into this arena of creating these African centered community homeschools? How did you get into that?
Well, my background, I published a magazine for almost 12 years out of Chicago called Frontline. So with that knowledge base of research and reading, and even having a relationship with the African Centered community, it was kind of an easy transition going from a researcher with a magazine in the community to a school. But my background is in business, so my wife, she actually was the impetus for me starting the school, or us starting the school, because I didn't ever think I was going to be teaching children. I always thought I would be, teaching adults and learning, from that perspective. But after we had our son, Aquaban, who's now at Howard at 16, we decided to develop a curriculum because looking around for schools for him, it was it was almost depressing because what they had here in Chicago, it was heavy in culture, but it was lacking the academic dexterity and prowess that we needed and that we envisioned for our child. So we actually developed one on our own. So we
Mm,
piecemealed together a program from we got a lot of information from a European cat named Glenn Doman. Glenn Doman that worked with brain damaged children. He was a neurologist who worked with brain damaged children. So a friend of ours gave us his curriculum, the Glenn Doman method. People can actually look it up. It was a start. So studying under Steve Coakley. Steve Coakley was my mentor in the early '90s, and he put in my hand an Onion Palmer video for the Marcus Garvey School in L.A. And my wife and I, it instantly changed our lives. We knew then by looking at that video of Onion Palmer School in Los Angeles that we we must create an African Center school outside of a home school. So we did that in our basement for a year and a half. We went from the first 5 students in our basement to 73 in that first year, and we had to move out. And
wow.
I think the same friend let us use a house. So we went from our basement to an entire house. We went from there to a basement of a church at 85 students. Then we moved up again to 100 students in the Roseland community. And 2 years later, we wound up getting our own building. So now we have a larger facility here still on the south side of Chicago, 95th. And now we're with that additional space, we're able to do a pre-med program as well as a pre-law engineering for our students with the full lab, and so we were afforded the ability to be flexible, having African-centered curriculum, but at the same time, we're licensed with the state too. So that comes with some contradictions as well, but we probably can get into that maybe in another show. But when we start to build African-centered schools, there are different types, even from a legal standpoint, that we must, be very cognizant of. Developing homeschool in your house isn't going to be viable in the next 2 or 3 years without some type of license, because they're really coming down on that now. So we have to be very scientific on the wordage, the verbiage, I should say, of developing schools, homeschools, and how we use them.
Brother, you started with one school. Where did you start that? And I understand you now have a network all over the country and even on the continent. Could you tell us about that?
We started right here in Chicago. Like I said, in 2008, my wife passed in 2014. But since
Mm.
since then, we developed not just a network, but we call them cellular schools. So a cellular school is actually defined as, sometimes um, we get a lot of calls for school development. So all the time we can't, based on the background of the person, we're not necessarily going to put our name on it. So we'll help develop a school for them, which would be a cellular school. So we have cellular
Mm.
schools, Florida, Miami. Actually, I'm going down there to help the sister out with her cellular school down in Miami, Florida. Um, Detroit, Michigan. I just signed the lease 2 weeks ago for the Detroit school, which would be actually a Detroit campus. So those are
Wow.
two distinct differences between a cellular school and a Freedom Home Academy school. Actually has our name on it. Boston is coming, as well as New York. We want to come to New York. We got a good brother with Q Butter School in Brooklyn. We want to do a partnership with him. We have an excellent school out there. So we're doing a lot of work. The Ghana school hasn't been developed. We bought acreage there 2 years ago. We haven't developed yet. So we're moving, but it obviously it takes resources. It takes resources. We always try to broaden our our base in developing those resource connections. Because we don't have them, but we got a couple of brothers and sisters who actually want to donate resources, donate buildings, donate even money. So we have to, again, be very scientific on how we collect that money, who those individuals are we collect the money from, and
Yes,
then
sir.
what kind of strings are attached to those donations. So we have to be scientific. So to answer your question, the short list would be Florida, Detroit, and here.
Now, speaking to the point you raised about
Mhm.
donation, how can we community members, not just the United States, but anywhere in the world, how can we support the schools and your efforts?
Sure, supporting us. We have a website with a donation button on it. And people who are interested, they can write this down. Freedom Home Academy 2 at gmail.com. That's our PayPal. Um, and then they can go again to the site and they can donate even books. Even I know it's kind of, well, I don't want to say challenging, but it's a little different. When we tell people money is good, but even if you want to donate books, we can use those books just as good as money. So if you don't have anything, but you do have, 6 or 7 books you like to donate to our library, we definitely appreciate that as well. Um, of course, paper, pencils,
Mm-hmm.
textbooks, workbooks, those things cost us money. So if you want to donate that, that's just as good as the money as well. So, and if they go on the website, they definitely get our mailing address for donation of books and materials, pens, paper, dry erase boards, dry erase markers, all those things we go through like water here. So we
Mm-hmm.
definitely would love and appreciate those things too. So here we have 4 different schools housed in the building. Our final building that we acquired um, has a lot of space, 28,000 square feet. So we're able to put all 4 schools in one place. So we have a nursery school, which is African Genius. Then we have the preschool, which is School of Literacy. Then we also have Freedom Home Academy, which is the flagship school. And then we have the high school, which we started 2 years ago, for
Wow.
my son to have a place to go after 8th grade. So that's the
Wow.
Crewman International Academy. Those are the 4 schools that we house here on 95th and Dorchester. So, we want to say this too. You just touched on it when brothers and sisters who want to donate property. Um, you know, this is a business, so it has potential. to generate revenue. So it's not always about me asking for things that I can't give a return on investment on. We have 100 115 full-time students, tuition based. So it's a business. So our goal, one of our goals, is to generate resources. I got to pay for 25. Got to pay salaries for 25 people here. So it's a business. So we're not asking. We're not begging for any resources, or we have a product that we're very proud of. So if you want to donate to um, moving and perpetuating the product, which is Freedom Home Academy, we would definitely appreciate that. But if you want to go into the actual business portion of the franchise, you can do that too, and you can make a return on your investment.
That's an excellent distinction. The brother's not coming out here dancing a jig with a hat out, family. He's built an actual institution. I love that, brother. I love that. I appreciate that you made that point. Now,
I just
brother,
want to say, I just want to say this too, man. I appreciate your work too. One of my instructors a couple of years ago, he turned me on to you. He said, "Bobby, you got to watch this, brother. I've been watching you for the last 2 years, man. I'm really proud of your efforts as well, man. So I just want to make that abundantly clear. I really appreciate what you're doing here there in Harlem, and I watch you all the time. I support you, and we must support each other.
thank you very much, man. Thank you very
No
much.
doubt.
Now,
I'm
brother,
Go ahead.
we gotta get it. Can we get a sneak peek of
We
these
about to do
beautiful
it now.
little Africans
Yeah. Yep. We about to
and
do it
what
right
they're
now.
doing?
Yep. All
Y'all
right.
see those beautiful youngsters, those beautiful Africans right there?
No doubt.
Wow. Hey,
FHA.
hey,
We fired up. So this class,
that's right.
so this group right here, a couple of knuckleheads, but at the same time, this group right here is my a Kline group, and I got a Sankofa group. Can you hear me from there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I got a Sankofa group. So these ages range from He's six. No. These age range from 10 up until who's older than 13. 13. So we take 3 tests on Friday. We take a vocabulary test, business law test, and we take African history or African political science test. Right?
Wow.
So on Fridays, what I do after they take it, I go over all the answers and they check their own answers, but of course, I check them later. Let them check it, and then we go over it. Right? So the first question, this is a business law test. So the first
Business
question,
process?
business law.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna be quiet and check y'all out.
Oh, y'all still know it. No, it's cool. Here you go, right here. All right. So somebody can tell me the answer for what is adverse possession. Adverse. Now, as hands go up, Bobby Agyei, as hands go up, you're gonna start seeing those individuals that study. And the individuals that study, their hands go up. The ones that didn't, they ain't answer no question. So, Tierra, give me adverse possession.
The acquisition of a title to land that's been from three to the acquisition of obtaining a title to land without delivery of a deed that's been from 3 to 30 years, with 10 being most common.
Excellent. That's the answer for adverse possession. Good job. Okay, that's number one. Number two, what is condemnation? Condemnation. Zalik?
The process of taking private property through public use through eminent domain.
Okay, that's correct. Good job. Good. Yeah, you can. Number three, give an example of constructive eviction. What's a constructive eviction? Chris?
When the landlord doesn't meet the requirements for the lease.
Okay, good. Okay, so this isn't on the test. What is an eviction then? Chris?
When the tenant doesn't meet the requirements.
Good. So what's the difference between a constructive eviction and a regular eviction? Yeah.
The construction eviction, that is when the landlord does not follow his requirements.
Oh, the landlord? Landlord is constructive, right? Yes. Okay, what is eviction?
That is when the leasing does not follow his requirements, his or her requirements.
Okay, good job. Good. All right, let's move it on. We got to go quick. What's the contract? What is a contract? What is a contract? A contract. Yes, sir.
A contract is an agreement that can be enforced in court, formed by two or more competent parties.
Correct. Good. So the objective of this answer, we must give two distinct words in this answer. What distinct words have to be in that definition? Two incompetent. That makes it why?
Because that makes it a contract, because two people have to be in the contract to make an agreement.
Correct. Good. All right. Number 5. What's an easement? What is an easement? Y'all didn't forget that, did y'all?
No.
Easement. Nice.
A non-possessory right to use
Good. Non-possessory right. Correct. So non-possessory has to be in the answer. Why?
Because you don't own it.
You don't own it. Correct. But you do have an interest in it, right?
Yes.
What's your interest?
To get past whatever. To use the property.
Okay. Correct. Good. Next. What are the two types of easements on a property? Two types of easement. Chris?
Easement and growth and easement and appertenance.
Appertenant, easement, and growth. Good. They have those? Who got that one right? All right. Good. We roll. Moving on. 3 minutes left. We're going to do African politics right now. Amilcar Cabral, real quick. Let's knock it down. How we looking on time, Baba?
We good, brother. We just checking y'all out.
5
Checking it.
minutes. All right.
Loving it.
Okay. Okay, we rolling. First question. Who was the first prime minister of the Congo? The first prime minister of the Congo, and what's the capital? Yeah.
It was Patrice Lumumba. It was Patrice Lumumba, and the two capitals are Brazzaville and Kinshasa.
Good. Brazzaville and
Tell them,
Kinshasa.
that's right.
Number 2. Who was the first president of Ghana? And what's the capital? 2 minutes. Sweet. Thank you. First president of Ghana, yes.
Kwame Nkrumah, and the capital is Accra.
Accra. Number 3. Who was the first president of Zimbabwe? And what's the capital? Yes.
Robert Mugabe, and the capital is Kinshasa and Brazzaville.
Oh! Javion. Oh! Yeah. Harare is the capital of Zimbabwe. Good. Number 4. Who was the first president of Tanzania and the capital? Yes, sir. In the back.
Julius Nyerere.
Yeah.
And the capitals are Dar es Salaam and Dodoma.
Good job. Dar es Salaam and Dodoma, the capital of Tanzania. Dr. Julius Nyerere. Number 5. Who was the first president of Kenya and the capital? Taj.
Jomo Kenyatta in Nairobi.
Good. Sidebar. I'm see who remembers. What's the name of the group that massacred the British?
Ooh.
Choctaw Heads.
Ooh.
Who led the Mau Mau? Didan Kamasi. Good. Mendy. Yeah. Okay, number 6. Where was Amilcar Cabral from and its capital? Oh, hands don't go up. Delete.
Guinea.
And
the capital is Bissau.
Bissau. Correct. The capital of Guinea is Conakry. The capital of Guinea-Bissau is Bissau. Right? Yeah. That's all right. So remember, the capital of Guinea is Conakry. The capital of Guinea-Bissau is Bissau. Good job. What does UNIH stand for? Universal Negro Improvement. Who started UNIH?
There you go. Marcus Garvey.
Big up to the one they call Marcus Garvey. Okay.
That's right. Salute.
We're going to run these down. We done now. This is the last thing. Capital of South Africa.
Cape Town.
2 of them. Number 2. Ethiopia. Mozambique. Algeria. Who do we know else from Algeria? France Fanon. France Fanon was what? What was the occupation? What did he do for a living? He was a psychiatrist. Correct. Good. Burkina Faso. All right. Yeah.
Wow.
Steve Biko, he named it because it means upright. I looked at that.
Oh, upright men? Oh, I know that. Okay, that's good to know. What's
That's
up?
right.
Is Parker Broad named Guinea-Bissau?
No. Okay, let's check out. It's 5 o'clock. Let's bounce. We got parents out there waiting. What's up? Give me all those papers.
Hey,
All up front. All up. All up. Lay 'em on the desk. As you leaving out, got parents out there waiting on the
young
desk.
people being dismissed. They got eager parents waiting for them.
They been knocking on the door. Mama trying to get them out of
I
here.
know, I
It's
know that.
Friday.
I
It's 5
remember them
o'clock on
days, brother. The parents be eager.
Friday.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Open both of those doors for me. The envision of our ancestors, man, who really wanted and believed in liberation for our children and for us. Um, it has to be done with children first. In any program that we have, and it's my position, and I say that um, in all sincerity, it's just my position. The things that we do, it has to encapsulate the ideas of our ancestors that came before us. It has to. Even when we study Emil Carter Broad, we can't study, again, my position. We can't study Emil Carter Broad, outside of a pragmatic context. We have to be
Right,
able to take his theory and while we teach it, we have to make it practical.
that's
Because our
right,
children specifically, we learn more through practicality. Um, they say in the Black Panther Party, the people learn through observation and participation. I say the children do as well. The
that's
more we
right,
make it pragmatic, a couple of our linchpins are repetition, duration, and frequency. That's the method in which we teach here. Math is done 3 times a day. Reading is done 3 times a day. And as you see, we leaving at 5 o'clock. We start at 7 a.m. So
wow,
those the little sister who was sitting in front of you, she's 10. So she's in a class with 6th and 7th and 8th graders. She's
wow,
ready. And,
wow.
and like some other students too. The students that's been here for a while. She's been here for 5 years. We have some
Mm,
students that been here 7, 8 years. So, yeah. So we have an opportunity to nurture that development. Small classrooms, of course. My
mm,
class is the biggest, so it's like 19. And I combined 2 groups in here, and then even our formation, like we don't have first graders, second graders, third graders. We group the students in 2 grades. So the first and second graders are together, third and
mm.
fourth graders are together, and so on.
Everybody around the country or world watching this is thinking, man, I want to, how can we get teachers to do
Yes.
things like this in our community? Now,
Well,
that's a broad question, and I know there's a lot of footwork to that. But how would people get started if they wanted to get into this idea of community homeschooling in an African centered way? What would you suggest as first steps?
first step. So I think we have to decide what would be the end game. What's the end game? You want to develop a homeschool or a brick and mortar? And we talked earlier briefly about those two distinct differences. If you want to start a homeschool, that would be your children directly. We have to figure out. And I always tell people 7 subjects that you want your children to learn. Same way I did. I just chose 7 subjects: math, science. We needed foreign languages. I couldn't teach those, so now I have to go look for individuals who can facilitate. You cannot get anything out of this class. I told you to keep the door closed. So once we figured out those 7 classes, now we have to go look for individuals to teach those classes. I couldn't do it. I couldn't teach French and Spanish, so I had to bring people in to teach Arabic and things of that nature. So I would say figure out those classes, those courses that you want to teach those students in your home school, and then from there, you start figuring out how you're going to facilitate in teaching those courses. And of course, you got to have the space. You can always use libraries, and we have some very good and effective homeschool networks out here. Um, I know of maybe 3 offhand that I definitely like to share. People go to my Facebook page and ask me, I can share those. Um, I'm not a homeschool anymore. We have a homeschool feel, but we operate outside of that homeschool paradigm. Um, a lot of students that come here, they came from homeschool units. Now
Mm,
I want to say that maybe they've evolved out of that homeschool environment. Now they want something a little more structure, more students and still get the same homeschool feel. So they come over, and we
So
also get. Go ahead.
how would you characterize what Freedom Home Academy is? It's a private African centered school, essentially.
We're officially an independent African center school.
Mm.
Totally
And by
independent.
independent, most of your funds comes from the community and from your pocket and from
Yeah, not
businesses.
most, not most of, all of. We don't
You
receive, we
heard
don't
that?
receive any. Yeah, we don't receive any government funds ever. We don't
Mm.
plan on receiving any. We're not a charter school. Charter school
Mm.
to us is the same, is on the same coin as a public school to us. Um, like I said, we're tuition based, so we depend fully on donors, of course, but first and foremost. So yeah, we depend on the parents for tuition and donors.
There's something you said. You kind of said it quickly because we had time rolling, and I know it's heartfelt for you. But tell us about, since she's not here to represent. Tell us about your queen brother. You said she passed. What role
Yeah.
did she play in this whole thing? Tell us about that.
Wow.
That's important.
you know, I I get that question so much, mainly about the role that she played, not so much about her personality though. But I think those things are intertwined. Her personality, gave credence and credibility to what she built. So we always have a conversation what we used to, when she was here on the planet with me. She's like, well, every time people see me, they say Baba Marcus School. And I say, well, they don't know. Without
Right.
you, it wouldn't have been no school, because she put the fire to me daily, brother. I was like, I can't do this. This ain't for me. When I was teaching my son, I was like, I'm just gonna teach him. She was like, no, you can do it. You gonna do it. You're gonna do it. Tell me what you need. I was like, oh man. So after a while, I always tell a story too. It was I can actually define the actual date that I realized that I can do it. My son was we doing the flashcards with Aquaman, who's 16 now. So I really wasn't 100% that this was gonna work. I was like, flashcards, I don't know. So I had him on the floor. I'm doing the layout for the next magazine. He's crawling around, and the only thing I hear him say is one of the vocabulary words on the floor, right on the card. So as he says it, he crawls to it. I look around. I say, wait a minute, what did you just say? And he repeated it, and he started pointing out the different words on the card, like almost instantaneously. It was
Wow.
then when I realized that when we use repetition and frequency, like this was like my 20th day on these cards, 20 days, 3 times a day. I was following the format to the letter, and like I say, instantly he started saying them. So I knew then. I said, okay. I told my wife, who was actually she was at work at the time. I called. I was like, guess what? And she was like, I told you. Now let's go do this thing, right? So, and it was then when it was made abundantly clear to me that it can be done, and I became a believer. So it was her, man. I always tell brothers too, without her, I wouldn't have even, I don't know where I'd be. I'd probably be in corporate America, obviously I'll be doing something revolutionary though, but I don't know if it'd be from a business standpoint or I don't know, whatever. I don't know. But I know
Mm.
for certain she was the impetus, and she gave me room, to do it. So
Mm.
I appreciate the day I met her. I met her from my first date was a Steve Coakley lecture. I after she was reciting some of the things that she knew already from a Coakley lecture. That was in '93. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna marry her. so
Ah.
so yeah, that was it. We got married in '99, and we had a son, and my son is a spitting image of her. He's man, but yeah, man. I think uh, the ancestors gave me an idea, but that idea didn't nurture itself until I met her. You know, so yeah, she had her fingerprints all over the place at the
Mm.
school, even to this day. And that was what five and a half, almost 5 years and 2 months since she's gone. So yep, yeah,
Well, man, first of all, we want as a community want to say condolences to our sister who's now an
yeah,
ancestor.
yeah,
We do trust and know she's watching over you and all the work you're doing, man, and gotta be proud.
absolutely. I feel
Gotta
it. I
be
feel it.
proud.
Yep. I do.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
because you
even
took
the
that
sisters,
baton, brother, and you running with it for sure.
I'm
There's no
I'm
doubt.
trying. I'm trying, man. I'm
You
running.
are
Hey,
running with it.
sometimes you running scared, brother.
Oh man, yes, sir. I understand. Yes,
No
sir.
doubt, no doubt. But at the end of it all, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I say too, uh, and even with us, not just me. It's nothing special about me. Sometimes we have to take a step back so we can get a handle, you know, on some of the things that we may feel that are losses. We feel like, man, that we took a loss on that one. But if we look back, that's only another opportunity. You know, it's not even a loss. Even with
Mm,
myself, sometimes we get hit. We got hit this summer with a couple things that I talked to my comrades about. Like, man, that was a loss. My comrade was like, nah, man, that ain't a loss, man. If you look at it as a loss, you can't learn from it. So as we in this journey, we're always in it, and we're so mixed up in it. It's hard for us to take a step back and say, man, let's survey the battlefield. That wasn't a
mm,
loss. It was protracted. Now we're able to move a step further based on that. So even myself, man. I'm very critical, self-critical of some of the things that we doing, some of the decisions that we making. But it hasn't been a blueprint. So what I've been trying to do is put together some documents for the next cast to come behind me, and then they could say, all right, cool, Bob Marcus did it this way. I don't necessarily have to do it the way he did it, but at least
that's
I
right.
know that he laid out something, or they laid out something where I can look at it and say, okay, cool, this is how I'm gonna do it. Makes it a little easier because
That's right.
yeah, because this is a different animal right here, brother. Dealing with these parents. If I dealing with the parents, that's the hard part. The easy part is what I just showed you. The class, that's easy. Just prepare and come to class. But man,
I
brother,
say
you know how
any
people,
teacher watching
are.
this knows what this brother's talking about too. I say to that. Oh my God.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of the parents, real quick, what have been some of the things the parents have said to you and your staff about what this school has meant to them, how it has impacted them?
Yeah. Well, first, I want to just briefly, very succinctly, go over the challenges real quick. So the parents, they say, administration. They say our administration, our administration needs resuscitation, right? And for to a point, I agree with that, and that has a lot to do with our resources are limited. So the administration piece, yes, there's some holes in the admins, right? But as a counterbalance, the academics sound, right? I
Mm,
tell parents in front of me when they come for visits and walkthroughs, if you give me 2 years, I guarantee you 4 years ahead. Guarantee on
that's
any
what I'm
scale,
talking about.
on any scale, right? And
That's
I
right.
tell them, and it becomes it becomes apparent when they come in. Okay, I tried to call y'all 3 times, we didn't get an answer, right? So on the flip side, what parents have been saying, they've instantly seen a difference in the behavior of
Mm,
children, right? So I think when they leave, and I mentioned before, when they leave a homeschool environment, it's more structure here. Now they go to classes. They responsible for their materials. I'm talking about first and second graders. They have a
yeah,
syllabus now. They have to read the syllabus now. Homework is given electronically. So it's a culture shock. Not to mention the fact that um, verbiage and language is important too here. So they address us as Baba and Mama. We speak Swahili, and we learn about ancestors. When we give thanks, we give honor and respect to the ancestors. We mention the ancestors before we eat. We pour libation. So all those things are they're different. So what parents see, they see the residuals of that, and when children come home, even the meat eating. We're a vegan vegetarian school, so some of the students come home and say, my mom, we shouldn't be eating chicken. So the mom called me. My Marks ain't paying none of these bills in here. You eat what I tell you. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the end,
yeah.
oftentimes, the parents, it becomes pressure on them. So
Mm,
we have a high turnover as well. So like I say, we fluctuate
mm,
between 120, 125 students. And by January, when they come back, we might have 106. But as they leave, we have more coming. So we always have more students. And I realized early on, and this is for some of the people that's interested in building the school. If you start with the preschool age to second grade, my numbers there never fluctuate. They always
Mhm.
remain 40. The school of literacy actually finances the other schools.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that's how it works because parents are used to paying tuition for that 3-year old, 4-year old, 5-year old, sometimes 6-year old. So by the time those students get out of the preschool age, they send them to like public schools. But
Mhm.
but here, I would say my 75% of all the Freedom Home Academy students, maybe 60%, they've had problems at other schools. So this is almost the last resort for that 60%. The 40%, they've tested out of those so-called better schools. So now they're getting bored. Now they need something
Mhm.
to expand. So now expansion comes in effect. Now the parents like, oh yeah, you doing this, you doing pre-med, my son is ready. And that 40%, they come in ready. But that 60% don't. That 60%, they need extra help. I rarely
Mhm.
get students to come in here that's like at level. They're either behind or even worse. They can't read, don't know phonics at all.
For those of you who've never seen African-centered education actually played out in front of you beyond the abstract, I hope this has been a really a great learning experience for you. It's heartwarming for me to see them little Africans raising their hand.
I
Patrice,
got
let
some
me.
baby. I got some babies in there though. Like I got some babies, the first and second graders. If I'd have showed you them though, man, they hungry, brother. They be
Yeah,
ravenous. They be ravenous afterward. They can't even keep still. They ready to go.
beautiful,
So maybe on
beautiful.
another time we'll get the babies, but they ready too. The older students, they're a little reserved. Some of them, they think they too cool to be on and think that type of thing. But the little ones, ravenous, brother. They ready to, they chomping at the bit. But again, brother, I appreciate you having me on, man. I think the acknowledgement from brothers that's doing similar work is gratifying to me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because
brother, absolutely.
oftentimes we get in our own lane, and sometimes we focus on getting to that end result. We don't look who's next to us, and
That's
oftentimes it
right,
happens in front of us. So I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you taking the time to reach out to me.
brother. The honor is mine. People like yourself, brother Walimu, Baruti, sister Ya,
Yes,
people.
yes,
I
yes.
mean, y'all.
Yeah, yeah. But
That's
just as a sidebar, uh, brother Baruti down in Atlanta, his school, the Applebean House. Me and my wife looking for a name to call our son. Now me and Baruti go back because he used to write for the magazine for me. So when I
mhm.
found he did the school, I named my son Aquaben because I saw the Aquaben house as his school. So yeah, so we have a lineage too. Like all of us that's doing revolutionary, groundbreaking things in this so-called new age of African center schools. We're connected. We don't always show it, but we are connected. The brother with the Huru Academy. I mentioned before about a brother Q Butter in Brooklyn. Man, we definitely linked up. Because Baruti have influenced me. I know he influenced the Huru Academy, but I know directly he's influenced my curriculum and how I
Right.
go about teaching the children. So, yep, indeed.
Hey, brother, we're gonna get ready to wrap it up. We're gonna let you, brother, enjoy a little bit of your weekend.
Hey, you see, I got a great paper.
Ah, yes,
No
yes.
doubt. Thanks again,
Oh,
brother.
brother, listen, we appreciate you. We love the work you're doing, man. Peace, Black Power, Wukuzu. Thank you for the work you're doing. Keep
Uh,
on keeping on, brother. And when you need a brother to call because you're ready to break somebody's neck,
I
'cause
guess,
I know
yeah,
what it's like.
I
You can
appreciate it.
call me,
I
brother.
will. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks again. Hooroo.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it. All
Peace.
right.
Thank you, man.
Later.
So there you have it, family. We had a beautiful, full show. Got to meet our good brother Marcus Kline. You got to hear about how he came up with the Freedom Home Academy, how it became local to becoming more of a national, international sort of network. And you got to see the little ones in the actual classroom going through their regular lesson. If we realize the importance and power of this African centered education and really understand why we need to get on that freedom train immediately, that is a modern day underground railroad for our people, getting our kids right and exact from day one. so we don't lose them to the white man and his weird values and ways. It's heartwarming, family. And we can be part of that. We need you to be part of that. Go to that brother's website, which you see scrolling on the bottom. Check it out. If you want to donate supplies, you can do that. If you want to donate money, you can do that. If you balling and you got property and you want to donate property, you can do that. All right, family. And if we can wrap our minds around the importance of this African-centered education, I have 3 words, and you know what they are. We will win.